Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the morning meeting, even though I'm doing this in the afternoon. I didn't do enough. Jesus, it's almost fucking 1 o'clock. I didn't do an episode yesterday because I woke up at 6 a.m. to my dog. He's like sleeping. I'm like staying at my mother's house, and we just redid the basement, and there's like a couch down there with like a pretty sick pull out fucking couch, whatever. So I've been sleeping there, and I had my dog there, and he woke up at 6 a.m. and he was like dry heaving, like he was trying to throw up, but he couldn't. And all I could think about at first when he started dry heaving was like he's doing this right on top of my feet, and if he throws up on my feet, naturally I'm gonna have to kick him. And I was worried about having to kick my dog who was already going through a bad time. Um, so I got him down on the floor. Uh, No, but I mean that is a joke and not a joke. Obviously, I wouldn't kick my dog, and I wasn't thinking about that. But it is true that he was about to throw up on my right foot, and I was like, I love you, just not on my shit. No, but he was dry heaving, which is kind of concerning because if they have like a blockage or like he ate a sock or a grenade or something, and now he can't poop, but he's fine. So I was just kind of watching him the entire morning. I usually come back here and I work all day, but I worked from there because I wanted to keep an eye on him. That's why I couldn't fucking record an episode. But anyway, I have no idea what to even talk about. Doing this every day by myself is kind of tough. Um, but we're gonna try. I mean, right now the fucking bonsai looks good. You know what I'm saying? I hope that this like I don't know how long the quarantine is gonna continue to go on. Obviously, like I'm not the guy with that answer, but if it is a decent amount of time, it will be kind of cool to see this thing grow. You know what I mean? And it doesn't really grow too high. We'll just get some more leaves and branches out of this bitch, and it'll look real fucking like Asian. You know how like Asian trees kind of like it's like I see bonsai trees, I think of like an Asian forest or something. Um, and I don't even know how true that is, to be honest with you. I just that's what I think of. But it will be cool to see this thing kind of grow on its own. Anyway, uh, I actually had this just to be optimistic about this whole thing because yesterday. Oh, by the way, I started therapy. I don't know if I mentioned that on the basement yard or anything, but I did start therapy, and obviously I'm not going into an office or anything. So the guy who's my therapist now, we've been doing FaceTime sessions. So yesterday before therapy, not that I was being pessimistic or I was down or anything. It's just eventually, like every so often, the quarantine after a while, you're just like, oh god, this fucking sucks, and it's been some time. I mean, it's been 4 or 5 weeks or something like that since we've been kind of on lockdown and living this weird lifestyle now. Um, and I would say that I'm pretty well adjusted to it to begin with because I work from home, so it's not that much of a difference. But I do miss everyone, and I feel like I thrive off of human interaction. I haven't seen Danny or like heard his voice besides recording the podcast in so long. Like it's weird, And like my friends that I usually see like every single week or multiple times in a week, just fucking it kind of just so like it catches up to you. And then after therapy, we didn't even like talk about it at all, like as far as what I was feeling about the quarantine or anything like that. But just after therapy, whatever, I was taking a drive and just driving around, um, just kind of like clearing my head of what we just talked about or whatever. And I started to become kind of like optimistic about this whole thing and just kind of what it's doing because in a way, there is some good coming out of this where I feel like, um, in the quarantine, I forgot who I think I was talking to Danny about this, but it's kind of like a reset on life. And I don't know if I talked about this on one of these or the basement yard, but I think I did mention that it's like the world's getting a reset here and everyone's starting from zero. And you can see it because like they were mentioning, I know it was like this thing they were mentioning like in Venice, like the waters are clear and there's like dolphins that are blah blah blah. There's animals that are blah blah blah, blah judge or whatever the fuck. And it feels like uh now that we're trapped inside, you can do everything that you didn't have time to do before. And I know that not everyone is in the same position as me as far as being able to just be like, yeah, I have free time, or like people who are still getting paid, people who are, whatever. I just feel like it's a really good time to pick a project to pick up, instead of just kind of letting it overwhelm you and just feel like and just focus on all the things that you can't do. Like I can't see any of my friends, I can't go to bars, who knows how long it's going to be. Every day I wake up, and even though like sometimes I think actually right now in New York City, I mean, we have more cases than like any country, but there is a decline in how many people are in the ICU. Not I'm not going to get, you know, trigger happy like, oh, we'll be out of the woods soon. Like I honestly just want to be able to see my friends by August. Like that's how far ahead I'm thinking. So anything before that, I'm fucking psyched about. I know they were saying like something about Easter, but there's no fucking way. That would be dumb. I'm also worried about when we do, like when everyone's like, oh, we're good, like you can go do what we were doing beforehand. Like I feel like I'm going to be hesitant, and I think there's going to be a good year of that where people are going to be super hesitant about going to bars or going to restaurants or this or that. Like even now thinking like I so badly just want to hang out with my friends and like have a drink and just kind of chill, but I would want to go to like an outdoor bar or like a rooftop bar or something. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't wear a mask or gloves or anything, but you're goddamn certain I'm not putting these fingers in my mouth or like touching my face or anything. Just being very cautious. You know what I mean? And I think there's going to be a long time of that. So I kind of think life as we know it is going to change for a while, I think. I mean, there was the Spanish flu. 50 million people died. And I'm sure there was some residual fear of like, are we allowed to breathe out here or anything like that? But then over time, people just, it kind of fades. So I keep telling people that are like messaging me or they're, whatever, or some of my friends or whatever. I'm like, pretty soon this will all be just like a memory. Like, you remember when we fucking blah, blah, blah. We had to stay inside and like no kids went to school. Also, classic fucking everything that's like, do you know how awesome it would be? And like, I know this is going to sound bad, but you know how like in second grade, you don't know anything about the world, the stock market. You probably don't even know anyone who's died in second grade. So it's like, bro, we don't have to go to school for the rest of the year. This is awesome. Like I wonder if kids had that reaction of like, this is fucking sick. I wonder if that's the case. But they're not allowed out. Not that like, what are they going to bars and shit? Like, what does a second grader even do? I feel like all I did in second grade was like three-way call my friends and shit. Do you remember that? Dude, I used to hit on girls via, not hit on girls. I used to like, me and my buddy Frankie used to set up these like traps with girls. Stay with me real quick. So the girl that I liked, we would call them. First, he'd call me and I'd be on the line and he'd be like, don't say anything. And then he'd call her, by the way, calling her house and having to talk to her dad and be like, hey, Mr. Johnson, is your daughter there? And then, eventually get her on the fucking phone. And then I would be on the call quiet. And then Frankie would be just wingman in the whole thing, being and like trying to be like cool about it, being like, so I mean, like at first he'd have like he would have like small talk about like homework or some fucking project, and then he'd be like, so like do you like Joey at all? And I'd be on the line like, say yes, and then but I wouldn't say anything, and then eventually that's how we would find out if girls, liked us or not. Because it was vice versa. I do the same for him. I would call, girls' houses and talk to their parents and be like, hey, I need to talk to your daughter, Marissa, or some shit. And then I'd be like, hey, do you have the homework for this day that I was absent 8 months ago? And she'd be like, yeah, I got it. I'm like, all right, cool. I just wanted to see. While I have you on the line, how do you like Frankie? I don't know. I feel like he might have a thing for you, but I don't know. I'm not sure. And it was this whole thing. So we used to catch people like that. in these little traps, these little like traps, you know what I'm saying, just to get information. We were like the FBI of, you know, I don't know. But yeah, that's what we used to do, man. It was basically a trap. I remember that. Frankie would call me up and be like, yo, today's the day. We're going to find out if Jamie likes you. And I'm like, I'm in, dude. So he'd call, and then I'd be silent. He'd call her house, talk to her parents, get her on the fucking line, small talk about homework or some project, and then we get into the nitty gritty here. Do you like Joey? And she feels comfortable telling him because she doesn't know I'm fucking listening like an FBI agent in a van down the street. You understand? So we were ahead of our time. We haven't even seen cop movies at that point. My dad wouldn't even let me see any sort of, violence in movies or whatever. He would make me walk out of the room. I didn't see Kate Winslet's tits from Titanic until I was like 23 because every time that scene came up and I was like, finally, he'd be like, get out of here. Or he'd make me fucking turn around and face the fish tank and I'd be over there trying to see Kate Winslet's tits in the reflection, but there'd be a fucking little minnow, swimming right through the tits. And I'm like, come on, man. I'm trying to stop. Everyone stop moving for a second. Now I'm talking to fish. I'm like, guys, can we not move? I'm trying to see reflection tit. But it never worked out. So that's what it is. Me and Frankie are geniuses. We were ahead of our time. Also, I think I mentioned this. When we were in 5th grade, we created a game in the recess, because there's like a schoolyard or whatever. So we were at recess. The game we played was basically tag, except in order to tag someone, you had to grab them and press them up against the handball wall. And it was guys versus girls. And hey, not to toot my own horn or our horn, but the guys always won. So what you're looking at here, if you're a teacher, is children running around playing tag, normal, and then the boys slamming the girls against the handball wall. And no one said anything. Because it was the early, you know what I'm saying? It was early. It wasn't this new world where it's like, you can't say certain things to a girl, You could call someone gay in the middle of class and your teacher wouldn't even flinch. She'd probably be like, everyone stop. And then she'd continue her lesson. Now you do that. They call in a SWAT team. They kick the door down. They fucking put you on CNN. And you have to apologize, on behalf of your entire family tree. It's a different world. But I'm just saying, how fucking weird is that? The children were slamming girls up against the fucking wall. No one said anything. There was 2 teachers. One of them, I don't think she works there anymore. She actually, in actuality, might be deceased. But I'm not sure because she was very old back then. And I'm pretty sure I heard something, but I'm not sure. But she would organize a kickball game with one of those megaphones every single recess, which I don't even know how she had the patience for that. And she was the pitcher. So this old woman was rolling that fucking ball all day. It was crazy. Probably talking shit into the microphone. Used to sell pretzels and shit. Yo, one time in 3rd grade, right? There was this girl, Raja. That's her actual name. I think it was Raja, man. I don't know. Could have been Frankie, to be honest with you. I don't know. So it was a stupid thing. So it was a fucking, on a certain day during the year, they would bring out pretzels. I think it was like Thursdays or something, like during the week, like Thursday pretzel day or some shit. So she would wheel out pretzels like they were, God's gift to earth. And we would go insane over fucking pretzels. And you would buy them. And I think they were like $1 or something like that. And this girl, Raja, went up there and she bought 2 pretzels with a $2 bill. Rolled up on the fucking megaphone bitch with a $2 bill. And it was like time stopped. Like everyone heard about it. Like it was like the coolest thing in the world. Like, yo, how did this bitch get a $2 bill in the 3rd grade? She had a $2 bill. It was fucking crazy. I just remember that. I'm in fucking elementary school today. I don't really know where I'm going. How long have I been talking right now? We're 15 minutes in. We're gonna wrap this up anyway. I can't keep going off. about elementary school, I'll talk to you guys all day. But just know that, I mean, today's Friday, so there won't be an episode Saturday and Sunday. Monday, I'll be back with with another episode of this, and I'll try to FaceTime somebody in so it's not just me talking all the time. But yeah, all right. So I'll see you guys on Monday.